Okay, let's get into this deep dive on the gardener of second chances. We're really looking at Leo, 48 years old.
Right?
And for years, he was pretty much defined by what he didn't do.
Hmm.
That unused painter's easel just sitting there, covered up in the corner. It's like the
Yeah.
perfect symbol of this prison he'd built himself.
Yeah, the man who starts things but never finishes, that was his identity.
Ooh,
And our sources call this the undesired habit spiral. It's this really vicious cycle.
how so?
Well, every time he failed to follow through in the past, it just added this weight, this self-doubt.
Right. So he expected to fail again.
Exactly. It becomes an anchor. He was basically, a ghost in his own life, just waiting.
So the big question here, how does someone break free from that? It sounds like it just feeds itself. How did Leo actually go from being this curator of regrets to, well, a gardener of his future?
Well, it wasn't some grand, heroic decision. No sudden lightning bolt moment to conquer the easel. No, the catalyst was actually quite sentimental. He found his late father's gardening journal, leather-bound.
Okay. And what was in it? Big plans?
Not really plans, more like a map of devotion. It tracked tiny, tiny habits. Things like watered seedlings 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah. It showed Leo that dedication wasn't about these huge gestures. It's about consistent, microscopic effort, day in, day out.
Okay, so that's where it gets really interesting, right? Because Leo didn't suddenly decide, I'm going to paint a masterpiece.
Not at all.
He decided to become someone who prepares. And that first step was, well, it sounds almost absurdly small. He cleaned one brush.
One brush. Took less than 2 minutes.
Why is that so important? It seems like nothing.
Because it broke the inertia. That's the biggest hurdle, just starting. That tiny action, cleaning the brush, it gave him this immediate, tangible sense of, well, self-efficacy. Maybe not a huge win, but it was proof.
Proof that he could show up, that he could finish something.
Exactly. I am capable of this. And that little burst of satisfaction, that kicked off the whole practice of atomic habits.
But, sparks fade fast. Motivation is notoriously unreliable. If he's just cleaning one brush or maybe sketching for 5 minutes, the actual progress towards a finished painting, that would be invisible for weeks, maybe months.
Yeah, for sure.
So how did he stick with it? How did he avoid falling back into that old spiral when he hit what the sources call the valley of disappointment, that point where you feel like you're doing the work but seeing no results?
And that's precisely where most people give up, isn't it?
Right, because that old identity, the I never finish things ghost, starts whispering again.
It does. But Leo did something different. He stopped relying on motivation. He built a system backed by evidence.
Evidence? What kind of evidence?
Super simple. A habit tracker. Just a basic calendar. He put a cross on it for every single day he showed up and did his tiny task. Cleaned a brush, sketched 5 minutes, whatever it was.
Ah, okay, so the goal shifted. It wasn't about the finished painting anymore.
Not primarily, no.
The goal became keeping the chain of crosses going. Don't break the chain.
Precisely. That visual consistency, that unbroken chain, that became the reward. It was the proof he needed, staring back at him, that he was someone who shows up consistently.
And that built on itself.
It did.
Yeah.
And that evidence, that consistency, it led to the really crucial identity shift. But the validation wasn't just internal anymore.
Okay.
It became external too. His wife, Sarah, she noticed a small study he'd done, nothing major. And she just casually complimented it, called it a beautiful shade of blue.
Wow, just like that.
Just like that. That little bit of positive feedback from someone else, that social reinforcement, it was like the final drop of cement,
Yeah. And notice she didn't praise some far-off goal. She validated the result of his new habit, his new identity in action.
Exactly. And that fed directly into what we call the identity reinforcement loop.
Okay, explain that loop.
Well, he stopped thinking of himself as a man trying to paint. He started acting like a painter. He even joined a local art group.
So he surrounded himself with other painters.
Right. And suddenly, showing up, doing the work, it wasn't a struggle anymore. It was just what painters do. His identity solidified because his actions and his community aligned with the person he was becoming.
So tying this all together for you listening, Leo's story isn't about some epic battle against his old self.
No, not at all. He simply grew a new self, like a gardener. Seed by tiny seed, day by patient day.
He shifted his focus completely, away from the giant, intimidating finished canvas.
And onto the simple, manageable, daily act of preparation, tending to his future identity.
So what's the takeaway here for you? Leo, this former curator of regrets, he transformed his entire life, not by aiming for the finish line right away.
But by focusing on just the first 2 minutes, that initial tiny action.
So if Leo could do it, if he could become this gardener of second chances, what small, maybe even seemingly insignificant 2-minute habit could you start today? What seed could you plant for the identity you truly want to grow?